Just to be sure, there's a spoiler. Jumping from the best episode of the entire series, The Wheel of Time Season 3, Episode 5 returns to the status quo, attempting to juggle its vast multitude of stories in a single hour. Unfortunately, many of these plots didn't make me feel very invested. Some, like Rand and Moiraine's continued interactions with Aiel society, were interesting, while others, like the party of characters going to Tanchico, weren't that engaging. However, the episode's best quality is how it pushes every story along, even the less-than-stellar ones. After exiting Rhuidean with the Sakarnen and Rand's golden dragon tattoos, he and Moiraine continue to get comfortable within the Aiel Waste. At the same time, threats loom in various places for all the Two Rivers travelers, with some being more developed than others. While the episode provides some good downtime while establishing what to expect from the back half of the season, it also suffers from feeling both too busy and like not much happens. These stark differences, however, depend on which characters in the Wheel of Time are being followed.
What is that, Moiraine?
Welcome to Movie Spy. The Wheel of Time's best stories make the most progress. Luckily, the strong stories aren't weakened much. The most progress in the Wheel of Time Season 3, Episode 5 happens for Rand, Egwene, and Perrin, who, incidentally, also have the most intriguing stories of the show. As Moiraine tries to figure out how to use the Sakarnen, she, alongside the rest of the Dragon Reborn's party, heads to Rock's Hold. There, Rand begins accustoming himself to life with the Aiel, even befriending Bear's granddaughter, Alcera. It's a strong contrast to his continued dreams with Lanfear, a physical manifestation of light versus the dreamlike temptation of darkness. It's this darkness that intersects with Egwene's story, who is continuing to fight back against Lanfear in her dreams. She learns more about how to control the events of her nightmares, but is interrupted by another attack. Bear, having borne witness to the dream, says she's being stalked by a Forsaken, emphasizing the level of danger she's now in. It's a good scene that invokes how dangerous the antagonist really is, while also putting an unseen ticking clock on Egwene's ability to control her dreams. It's a perfect next step in her training that makes me intrigued to see more. However, Perrin's mission in the Two Rivers is most exciting, trying to get Mat's sisters and mother out of the clutches of the White Cloaks. While his party does their best to save them, they're too late for Mat's mother. She's burned to death after taking the blame for being a channeler. But it's obvious from her final scene that it's her daughters who have the power, her sacrifice protecting them long enough for Perrin to arrive. She may not have known he was coming, but her adamant protection of her daughters makes Perrin finding her body all the more emotional. However, the mission doesn't take long to go awry when Alanna is attacked and nearly killed by White Cloaks. Luckily, Maxim, whom she'd previously had a falling out with, arrives and saves her in an impressively satisfying fight sequence. Ultimately, the exact results of Perrin's rescue mission are left unclear, as everything erupts into chaos by the end of his part of the episode. It's the perfect cliffhanger for his story, especially given how personal the conflict has become due to Mat's mother getting killed. Season 3's weaker tales drag down much of the episode. I'm not fully invested in a good chunk of the show. Unfortunately, while Rand and Perrin's journeys hold plenty of intrigue and suspense, I'm not highly invested in many of the other storylines happening with other characters. While Elaida is trying to convince Siwon to cage Rand, they decide to test if the Red Ajaya actually has the White Tower's best interests in mind. The resulting attempt to see where her loyalties lie goes awry when a gray man tries to kill her, causing Siwon to intervene. It drives a deeper wedge between them, but lacks substance outside of Elaida simply wanting more power. Perhaps future episodes will offer better context. Mat, Nynaeve, and Elaine's journey to Tanchico doesn't make much progress to note. Mat does discover Min has snuck aboard their ship, subsequently learning her vision of his death. He vouches for her to join their quest because of her knowledge of Liandrin. It's a serviceable enough update, but it feels dragged out by a subplot of the trio supposedly not being allowed on deck, which is resolved without any fanfare. It's these two less interesting stories and the amount of time they take up that drag this episode down. Season 3, Episode 5's ending could be a series game-changer. Egwene discovers Rand's shocking secret. Luckily, the end of Season 3, Episode 5, uses Igwin's dreamwalking abilities to deliver a decent cliffhanger ending, which could cause major changes to the show's future. Getting a grip on stepping into other people's dreams, Igwin sees the various dreams of her friends across the world in a wholesome montage. However, stepping into Rand's dream, he finds him kissing Lanfear, who leers at the young girl. While the presentation is slightly comedic, it does signal a massive split about to happen between her and the Dragon Reborn. In between some rather lackluster storylines that drag down the episode, the Wheel of Time's more interesting elements keep the show from getting too stale. However, with multiple stories dragging their feet and not offering much to chew on, Season 3, Episode 5 ultimately suffers under the weight of its presentation. I want to like the other half of the stories currently unfolding, which I'm sure will grow important in due time. But for now, I'm not keen on them, dulling a huge chunk of the show in the process. Thanks for watching.